Hello, welcome to my studio. I'm Julie Torrens. If you are new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I'm so glad that you are here. So today I am ready to work in my art journal. I've been working on some other projects and I'm just ready to relax and do something in my art journal, and I wanted to bring you along. So first thing we're going to do, I've got my watercolors, I've got some sprays, I've got water, some paper towels, and some brushes. I also have my Prismacolor colored pencils. So the way we're going to get started is I have 3 inks here. This one is the Dilutions ink spray, and it is called Rose Quartz. This is another Dilution spray, and it is called Periwinkle Blue. And then this is a Tim Holtz stain, and it came in a dauber top, which is the top that you do like this, you know, dab, dab, dab. I recanted it into a spray bottle, and this is Distress Stain Tumbled Glass. So I'm going to be using these 3 sprays. I also have a stencil that we're going to use, but let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just mist. This is my large dilution journal. I'm just going to mist it, but I am not saturating it at all. Just a mist. Then I'm going to start with the Rose Quartz, and I'm just going to put this in the middle. 3 squirts is enough. And I'm going to take my paper towel and go out like sun rays from the middle out, just like that. And then I'm going to take same paper towel, the periwinkle, and I'm going to give it a couple of sprays, 3, I guess. Same thing, working my way out. And so I'm getting some smeary stuff, I'm getting some splatter stuff, just a little bit of everything. Okay, and then I am going to turn this just because the paper towel is showing some signs of wear. And I'm going to go in with the tumbled glass, and I'm going to put it around the edges. And now I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to work this time in. And out. Both. And there. Okay, so while this is still wet, I'm going to grab my stencil. Now this stencil I bought in a home improvement section of Michael's, and I don't have the container that it came in anymore. I bought it years ago, but honestly, any stencil that you like will do. And I'm going to go ahead, and I just kind of tried to press it down because it's kind of got some bumps and wrinkles. I'm going to give it a spray. I'm just misting through it. It's not soaked. And I'm going to take a paper towel, and I'm going to just work in to out. And I'm lifting up some of this ink. Now, this is not perfect. You can see that the stencil's moving. It's okay. I'm just wanting some marks. That's all. I just want some marks. But I'm not looking for an exact design. And now I'm just in some of these smaller areas, I'm kind of just giving it a twist. I'm going to move this again. And I'm just trying to lift up some of this ink. Okay, I'm just going to dry it now a little bit around the edges and take this off. And it's going to be subtle, but you can see it. It's just one of those layers that I think is cool. I've got a little bit of paper pilling. I'm not worrying about that. All in all, this is good. I hope you can see it, and I hope you like it. Okay, then the last thing I'm going to do, and I'm just again turning my paper towel to a drier spot, and I'm just going to drizzle. So it's just drops and blobs falling from this. I'm pushing it very slow. I'm just giving it a shake now. And I'm just getting drops all over. And I'm going to let that set a minute. So what I'm going to do on top is I'm going to do a face, and I want to do a face like this. And we're going to go with, you know, that simpler way for people that say, oh, I can't draw, I can't do faces. Well, with this technique, you can. So let's just let this set. I can see that the inks underneath are starting to change a little bit, and that's good. But it does take a moment, especially since I kind of dried it. But I think we're good, and I'm just going to start lifting up this water. And again, I don't know if you can see it, but I think you can see just some of, look at there, some of the places that the color has lifted and just giving a different texture. But this is the background. So what I don't want is for it to be real, I don't know, you know, overbearing so that it competes with the picture on top. That's what I want to avoid. Okay, now this would take a little bit of time to dry. So what I did, using the same colors and the same stencil, I've got one here. So it's not identical, I know, but we can start working on this right away. So what do you think about that? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my picture, and you can just grab a picture out of a magazine, something that you like, and I'm going to move my journal out of the way for a moment, and I'm going to put some graphite. Now you can use just a regular old #2 pencil, no problem. I'm using a this is called Prismacolor Ebony Jet Black Extra Smooth, and it's like a graphite pencil. So it's willing to give up more graphite. And I'm using this only because I want you to be able to see it when I put the tracing onto the picture, onto the paper. So I'm just going to try to get a coating of this all over. So I can hear some of you already, and rightfully so, you start worrying about, well, tracing, and is it legal, and is it right, and should you do it? And I'm going to talk more about that when we get a little bit further in the video. But I can tell you right now, I've done a lot of reading, a lot of studying of laws and of precedences that have been set and all of that. So when we get a little bit further along in the video, I will be sharing that with you, what I've learned, what I have found out. And I will tell you, for years, my job was to write policy and procedures for companies that had to satisfy certain laws. And so with the help of corporate legal teams and the legal advice from other entities that I was a member of at the time, where I could tap into those legal resources, I learned quite a bit about reading the law and figuring out what you can do as your bottom line, that you're satisfying the law and not breaking anybody's bubble over what it is you can and cannot do, or what you should or should not do, that kind of thing. So I am tapping into that knowledge, but I am not an attorney. I am not giving legal advice, and I'm just going to show you what I do. And then my advice is do your own research, and then when you do, then do what you're comfortable with. But I am comfortable with doing this on a YouTube video. So like I said, we'll talk about it just a little bit more as we go on. Okay, so I went in multiple directions, and I think I've got this pretty well covered. And I'm just going to be concentrating on her face. So let's not knock the cup of coffee over, because that would be tragic. And let's start working with her. I'm going to bring her down because her hair is obviously going to go up higher than this picture is. So I brought her down just a little bit. Now, probably the smartest thing for me to do, not that I'm always known for that, is to just give this a clip so that I'm not fighting with trying to keep it in the same place. And that's given me a bit of a bump. I'm just going to have to be a little careful when I get around her chin, but I think this will work out fine. Maybe I could move it up a little bit. What do you think about that? We can move it up where I'm not going to be drawing. And maybe I could add another clip where I'm not drawing. I think it'll be okay. Let's live on the edge. All right, so I'm going to start out by the clip. And I'm just getting like a suggestion. You know, this is not going to be a perfect representation by any means, but it's going to give me landmarks. And it's going to help me with things like proportion and perspective, which can be really hard when you're just starting out to figure those things out. Let's get her shoulder there. I'm going to get her shoulder here. And here's the edge of her jaw. I am going to put this little bit of ear that I can see. And then this is her hairline. And there we go. Okay. Now I'm going to get her features. If my head is in the way, I'm sorry. But I'm just getting her eye. And I'm going to get her other eye. And as I always say, no two eyes, even on the same head, are the same. So don't even try to get that. It just doesn't happen, even in nature. And I'm just going to put in the shadow here of the outermost eyelid. And then I'm just going to put in some lines here for her eyebrows. And then I can work on those later. Now her nose. These are her nostrils. And then I'm just going to kind of put in this little bit of a shadow here. Little bit of a shadow under her chin. These little lines are just to kind of remind me of that. Okay, I think we're all right. Maybe I will just give this line. Oh, how about her lips? And here. And I think that has that. And I'll go ahead and put this little bit of shading in for her Cupid's bow. And a little line here for her chin. I'm going to put some lines here to show that's shadow and shadow. Okay. Well, we can peek. It still came out awfully faint. I can see it. I know maybe you can't, but we'll work together on that. Okay, let's take this off. If this was on your book, you would be able to see it. And I've got the picture here in case we need another reference. If I use this to make these outlines more bold, when I paint, this will come off as a heavy gray. So I'm going to put that away and just go with a regular old #2 pencil. And I'm just going to try to define these lines a little bit so that you can see them. If I was doing this on my own, I wouldn't be doing these lines, but I want you to be able to see what I see. Some of this didn't even actually pick up the graphite, but it I can see the groove that it made, which you'll find that also when you work on things like this. This eye is really barely visible. But it's visible enough. And this is, I think her ear is really, I'm just going to bring this down. Yeah, okay. Now her nose. And her lips. This side has really limited. That looks a little strange, but it's okay. It'll be fine. I think her lips look awfully big. So I'll probably, now that I kind of have, you know, what was in mind, I'm seeing if I have my, yes, my white block eraser here. I'm just going to bring these lips down. Even though I did trace where the lines were, for me, they just really look awfully big. I think we'll like this a little bit better. Okay. Okay. We have some shadow here, some shadow here, some shadow here. Okay, I think this is good. Now, let's work on some watercolor. I can finish this up here. Like that. All right. So what are you doing today? I hope you are able to do some art. Maybe work in your art journal or sketchbook. I can set these here, and I'm going to start out with my Grumbacher number 4 round. I've got my water here, and I'm going to activate my paints. These are my Daniel Smith paints, and I'm going to start out with some kind of a skin color. So I'm going to touch this orange, but that color, and that is Cad Red Medium. And it's a hue, so it doesn't really have cadmium in it. I'm going to add some yellow. And this is Cadmium Yellow Medium. And I'm going to add a touch of a pink color, and this is Quinacridone Rose. And then I'm going to touch it with just a little bit, and this is a brown shade that I can never say, but it's kind of like a sepia color. Okay, now I realize that's still pretty orange. I'm going to add just a little more pink again. And then I'm going to use this really wet. So I'm just transferring some water to the next well, taking a little and mixing it in here. Needs yellow. still very watery, but I think that'll be fine. All right, so I'm just going to start laying in some color, and some of this underneath may lift up, and that's okay, but I'm just trying to block in some color. I may even want to use a bigger brush. I think I do, because that brush will make everything so tight, and I want this to be more washy, watery, you know, not quite so specific and tight. Okay, I'm going to go back into this color, and I'm going to add that little bit of yellow and more water. A little bit more, a little bit more. Okay. And up we go. Now I realize that she's going to be having hair, so I'm just going to bring her forehead up some. Now this paper is not watercolor paper. It is kind of like a cardstock. And so colors get absorbed into it. And now that I've put some of these colors on top, and then I rubbed it and put more water, any sizing has probably been shifted around quite a bit, so it even wants to absorb more. That's okay. Okay, I like that. I'm gonna keep going down her neck or her throat. And I may just kind of leave it on the more loose and let the underpainting show even more. Now I'm just kind of mixing these two up and just working my way down here a little bit. Okay, I'm going to add some more color here and there, like for her cheeks. And I'm going to just use the darker of the shades to put on this side of her nose and into the nostrils, under her nose, under her lip, this part of her lip, I'm just now just taking a wet brush, and I'm just gonna work it around a little bit to try to remove any real specific brush strokes that I have. Okay, I'm gonna dive right into this brown. I'm still putting it in with these other colors. And I'm gonna just add more shadow in these deepest, darkest shadows. Like here where her hair is, right under her chin. It'll be where her hair is, it'll be darker. We're not really gonna see her hair on this side. We're gonna have to come up with a hairline. So I think I'll start working it just a little bit this way. Okay, I like that really well. I have to think of an eye color. There's a lot of blue in this, so I'm going to go ahead into this serpentine green. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's Cascade green. Now I want 3. Serpentine or serpentine green. That's a mineral. And I'm just putting some dots of this color in, just to give a suggestion of some color here. Yep, I like that. I'm going to add a little of this green right here where I think it's going to be darker. I'm going to add some here. I like the way this green looks very much. I'm going to add some right in here and again into these nostrils. Okay, I like that. I'm going to add, again, I'm using this green, and I'm going to just add a shadow at the right where her eyelid fold. That was the uppermost part of her lid that still covers the eyeball. Just like that. Yep, I like that. I'm going to add a little shadow in here along her nose. And this side needs to be darker than the other side. So I'm just going to put that green right in here too. I love color, and I love color in things, especially color that maybe you're just not really expecting. I think it can look really cool. Now, the side of her nostril would really be more dark, where this side is going to be more dark, like all the way across. This is like the shadow of her face. Again in here, and a little bit over here. And then I'm going to add just a little bit in her throat, where these kind of tendons are and things. And then maybe on her shoulder in the more dark part. All right. What do you think? I am liking it. All right, I'm going to just add some very basic hair. And I'm going to use, I have to decide, do I want her blonde? Do I want her redhead? What do I want? I think I'm going to go like brunette. So I think I'm going to start with a washy green. So I'm going into that Cascade green, and I'm going to add just a little bit of that serpentine green. And I'm just going to really wash in where hair is going to be. And I'm going to have her hair kind of sweeping. So again, I'm just kind of blocking this in, but it's not the be-all, end-all of her hair. I'm going to go back to the serpentine, the Cascade, little water. I'm going to bring this in closer to her head. I'm going to add a little hair here. Like that. And then this is like the shadowy part of her hair. Okay, I like this. All right. Now, again, this is, I'm leaning back so I can kind of get a different view. And we've just kind of blocked in. All right, I think what I'd like is I'm gonna go into this rhodonite, which is a different kind of a pink color. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of cheek color. Add a little of this to her nose and under her nose. And I think I'm gonna add this as the start of a lip color. Top lip, always darker than the bottom lip. So I'm adding just a little more of this color. And then here's her bottom lip, a little bit lighter. Okay, I want to take some paper towel and lift that red up just a little bit. Okay, go back to my big brush, and I'm just going to soften up the edges of this. All right. Okay, I like this. Now I'm going to, I think, give her a little bit of an eyeshadow, like a smoky eyeshadow. So I'm going into that sepia color, and that's dark. That's the danger of not putting it on your palette first, but it's fine. Just lift that right up. And put some on the other side. Just touch the brown. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to give it just a little bit with this big brush, a little bit under her eye. Can't see that. Oh boy. All right, let's see. Yeah, that's good. Little touch. Okay. Okay. All right. So now comes some dry time. And I can just close this. And we're going to talk a little bit about tracing while I dry this. Okay, so tracing. What have I learned? Tracing has been around literally for centuries and is considered a common practice among artists to use as a shortcut or a means to get to a finished product. That being said, if you go by the exact letter of the law, anything from a magazine that you reproduce in any means, be it digital or electronic or tracing, can be considered a copyright infringement. So, where do we go from there? Well, you start looking at interpretation of the law. And in the interpretations that I read, and they vary, the bottom line seems to be who the judge is at the time. And again, I am not a copyright lawyer or anything like that. But what I'm reading is that if the end product, if its use is not to take over or infringe upon what the original use was for, and this was a perfume commercial. So am I trying to create a way to sell perfume? No. Am I trying to take away from another company? Am I using a company logo? Or no. And so really, especially if it's in my own journal for my own use. There is no problem. Putting it on YouTube, I am not trying to sell digital work of this. I am not trying to create t-shirts, so we should be fine. That's my interpretation of everything I read. But I gotta tell you, going through literally volumes of this stuff, and I enjoy doing that. So don't, it wasn't like a big chore. But there is so much written and so many conflicting views. And even looking at cases, not specifically for tracing, but looking at cases, I'm reaching for my pencils. Looking for cases that just had to do with copyright. You could read almost identical circumstances, and one judge ruled in favor of the plaintiff and the other judge ruled in favor of the defendant. So how do you know? Like I said, it really kind of comes down to the judge. So I mean, I can, and I may just do a video about more of this topic. I don't know. We'll just have to see. All right, I'm starting with cool gray, and I want to get her eyes whiter, because it just seems like once I do this step, the face just kind of comes to a life, and I don't know, it just feels a little bit easier to do the rest of it if I can just get in some of the things that are real specific. So I put that cool gray on there before I'm putting the white on, because it just seems like stark white is just that. It's so stark. And there's shadow and shade and everything else going on in an eye. And already I'm liking it. I'm going to add some white here by her nose, where I think some light would be shining. This is the dark side. This is the light side. So there's going to be some light on this side. Okay. And I'm going to add just a little bit of white to this side, but we're going to work on the lips some more. All right, I think that's good for the white. Now, her skin, her face. This is peach, and I'm going to start out with her nose. And I don't want to necessarily change the color that's under here, but I just want to soften everything a little bit so that there's not these real harsh speckles, but you can still see the speckles. And I'm going right over the white, but this is going to just kind of tame it down a bit. And now I'm going to go for the lightest, tallest part of her forehead. And then this side's in the light, so I'm going to add some more here. I think I have my pencil sharpener. This pencil is going fast. I don't need it yet, but I thought I brought it with me. I did. Okay. That way I can just calm my brain down that I'll be okay. All right. And again, this side's in the light. So I want to add some of this to this side. But see, the darkest part of the watercolor is still the darkest parts. You know what I mean? So I'm not obliterating that. I'm just softening everything. I'm trying to get rid of a lot of harsh lines. But the darkest parts are still the darkest parts, and the lightest parts are still the lightest parts. And these are the Prismacolor. I think they're called Premium. Prismacolor Oh, Premier 72. I love Prismacolor. All right, I'm gonna just give this a few cranks. And I did just sharpen these, but they do go down. It's one of the reasons why I'm so glad that Prismacolor has where you can buy individual crayon or individual pencils. You don't have to buy sets and, you know, repeat the process, which is just so good. So it's very sunny, but it's only in the 70s, which is nice. And they're getting ready to paint my building. So today they power washed the building. So I'm really here quite a bit later than normal with you because that power washing was really making a lot of noise, but you know, it's good. And then they normally, today's Monday, normally on Tuesday is when the lawn guys came. Well, they came today. And I think again that they didn't want a bunch of grass flying when they've got the paint going, because I think the painters are coming tomorrow. It's a guess, but I think it's a pretty good guess. Okay, I'm liking that. I'm going to go in with this color, which is called Light Peach. I still have some pigment on here, and I'm gonna put some of this on the lighter side. So now I do want to cut back on some of the shadowy things that are on this side that's closer to the, well, this is dark, but the middle of her forehead is always going to be light. This side is dark, this side is lighter. So I'm putting in some of this lighter. And I am not a colored pencil expert by any stretch of the imagination. Few twists. So yes, tomorrow they're going to be painting the buildings, which, hey, you know, property improvement, I'm all about it. Good. So I'm sorry that I'm getting quiet. I don't want to get too quiet on you here. I want to lighten this up, so I'm pressing a little bit harder because I think the edge of her chin would be definitely showing the reflection of some light. I'm just blending this out. Blending this out a little. Okay, some of the lighter parts of her throat. Okay. I think she's looking good. I want to take this other peach. What was this? Yeah, peach. And see if I can just lighten. This is the old lip line. I don't mind if my working lines show, but this one could be mistaken for who knows what. Mustache or something. Okay. Now I used kind of a green in these shadows and I like it. So I'm going to try to find a green that, pull a couple out here. This one is called Imperial, yeah. And this one is called Parrot Green. Parrot Green is going to have blue in it, so I'm going to go with this one. This is a little bit lighter, but that's okay. Just going to add some of that green in. And where I had those little shadow marks. What do you think? Coming along? I think so. Alrighty. I'm going to add some dark brown because this is really a shadow. I like that. And I'm going to add just a little bit more shadow in here. Good. I'm going to add just a little more shadow in here, but I'm going really light. Really light. Okay. I'm going to add these eyebrows. Little lines, little hair marks. Just kind of wrap this around. This eyebrow that I'm working on would be closer, so it's going to appear longer, and this one is going to appear shorter and kind of wrap right off of her face there. Okay, I'm liking that. All right, how about her lips? I'm going to give this dark purple, or let's see. I've used this terracotta before and I like that. What about this? Crimson Lake. Let's give that one a go. And I am going to crank it once or twice in my sharpener just to give it a little bit more of a point. And I'm just going to outline her lip. So one of the tests of this whole copyright thing and using a magazine picture like I am is if a person could look at this picture and then go right to the magazine, date and time and everything, and find it again, and find it based on my picture. And I don't think anything of mine would be that precision. I wish, but no, it's just not gonna happen. But you know, there are places that you can purchase pictures, and you can do that, but boy, you got to be careful with all the reading that I did, because there's still licensing. Even though you pay money for it, you're paying for what they call a license to use, and it still may say that you can't use it for commercial use. And then what's the definition of commercial use? And you can't, so there's just all that kind of stuff. And then when it comes to things like museum gift shops, well, they can pretty much get away with whatever they want when it's things that are within that museum, where they can go ahead and take a copy maybe of a painting that's in their museum, and they can make mugs and they can make tote bags and this and that. But if you and I tried, we would get hit. So, again, I'm not a lawyer, so you just better read this stuff for yourself and then do with what you're comfortable with. Okay, I like those lips so far. How about her eyes? I like the idea of green. So I think what I'm going to do is start putting some green around the very most edge, I'm doing this like a starburst again. I'm not drawing the circle. I'm just making lines going in towards where her pupil is to just add that little bit of green. And then I'm going to pick up another green, and this is lime peel, and I'm going to go all the way through, like even over where the pupil will be. And there's that. And I think I want a brown. This is dark brown. And I'm going to use that as the outside edge. Like that. Okay. Now I'm going to need black for the pupil. These are one thing that you really want the same. Okay, good. Now I want a pink, a pretty light pink, but a pink all the same. This is called Blush Pink, and I'm going to be putting in the corner of her eye, both eyes, and then I'm going to put this right along that watermark. And this is going to help give the eye roundness. I'm going to find a darker pink yet. This is probably getting towards magenta. This is called Process Red. And I'm going to go gentle, just right along here. There's such a difference between a waterline of your eye and bloodshot eyes. And so you just have to be so careful. But I think that's good. And now I'm going to add some of this color to her lips. Okay. I like that. Okay. Now I have in here a very dark blue, and I like it so well for working on eyes. I'm going to see if I can find it fairly quickly. Let's see. I am looking. Can you see it? Holler out. Maybe this is it. Indigo. That's the one. Okay. I'm going to put her upper lid. And this should help make the whites of her eyes look even whiter. Okay, I like that. I'm going to start some eyelashes with this. But if you're familiar with me at all, eyelashes are not easy for me. And see, these start coming like at us, the ones right above her eye, and so they're not that easy to see. And that's when I get in trouble, is I have to be careful that I don't go too crazy, especially in here. Okay, this looks good. I'm okay. Just a little bit more. Yeah. Good, good. Okay, now I want a little bit of a lighter brown. And I have kind of a sepia color. Terracotta is good, but it is a little bit towards red, but I'm grabbing that. Tuscan red, no, that's really red. Dark purple, that can be a fun one. Dark brown, no, too dark. Let's see if it's in the third tray. Yes, it is. Here. Sienna brown. Let's try that. And I just want to give her a little eyeshadow. A little smoky eye. And I'm just going over the pencil mark with the brown, where like the eyeshadow would kind of be consolidated up. All right, I'm liking that. Her eye needs a little more defining. I'm going into, this is a warm gray. I'm going to round by making some roundy corners darker, but I'm doing like a C shape to just make her eyeball seem more round. And I'm going to cut right across the top over the iris and everything. Like that. Same with this one. Right over the iris, right over the top. Yep. Yep, that's good. Okay, so what is she missing? Hair. I'm going to start working on her hair, and then we're going to put in some highlights. I'm going to add just a little bit of this gray at the bottom of her lip here, and the top, just right where I think it's going to be just a little bit darker. That looks good. I like this little white shine here, like a little nose shape. And I do like that in there. I think I'm going to add just a little bit of white right here and a little more white right here. And I'm leaning back again looking at this picture. Okay. All right, now, where did I toss that picture? You probably, oh, here it is. Oh, I nearly fell out of the chair. There we go. What I want to look at is her teeth. You can see how different. All right, so they're just a little bit of shadowy lines. All right, I'm going to go in with this gray. And I'm just going to gray in a little bit. I'll tell you though, teeth can really get you in trouble. I'm just putting in some shadow because it's darker in there, you know? Okay, I'm gonna add just a little bit more nostril here. I'm going to have to put just a little bit of white on those teeth because there's gray lines. And I don't want gray lines. Okay, that's a little better. Okay, hair. Yay. All right, we said brown. So let's start pulling out some browns. I'm going to use Tuscan Red. I'm going to use Sienna Brown. I'm going to use Terracotta. I'm not going to use, well, I'm going to pull Dark Purple. And I'm going to pull none of these, but this one. And this is Burnt Ochre. And this is Sepia. Now, I'm not going to probably use all of these. But then I want to add some green. So I've got some olive green. And then we'll highlight with some of these others. All right. Here comes the hair. I'm going to start out with the olive green. I'm holding it way at the back because I want this to be organic and just flowy, and we don't want it to look, oh, you know, forced. And here's where like her part is, and then more hair. And more hair. Okay. Now I'm going to go in with Burnt Ochre, which is kind of a yellowy brown. And my understanding is there really is some kind of a wood or there's where they actually do burn when you've got like burnt sienna and burnt ochre. There's somewhere there's burning involved in coming up with these pigments, which is kind of cool. When you're talking about things like Prismacolor pencils and Daniel Smith watercolors and M. Graham and Grumbacher, you're going to find that they really use these nature elements to create their pigments. They're not just chemical dyes, which is cool because that's what gives them kind of a richness. And here we go with some, what am I using? Sienna Brown. What are you thinking? If you're liking what you see, if you're enjoying this content, please consider hitting the like. It helps my channel so much, and I am a new channel. And we're just having some journal play. But I would really appreciate it. I do have a giveaway planned. I do. When I hit 100 subscribers, I'm at 71 as of when I'm recording this. So we're getting there, and at 100, we're going to have a giveaway. So you want to hit that subscribe and bell icon so that you can be notified when I have new content up, and that way you'll be able to be a part of my giveaway. This is the dark purple. Okay, and terracotta. Haven't used that one yet. I like making the hair, and I just think once you get the hair on, you really start to get more of a human feel. Okay, I think her mouth is just looking a little bit forced. I'm gonna see what I can do about that. Right in here, just not right. Or it's not matching this side. I'm gonna work on that. But let's get some more hair going. I did the olive green. I did the Tuscan red, dark purple, sienna brown, sepia. And this is the dark brown. Maybe she's at some kind of a club and there's those lights that add other colors, you know, and that's reflecting in her hair. Could be. Now I'm going to add a few wild ones. Like that. Helps it not look so skullcapish. Maybe a few coming over here. All right, let me just see if there's something I can do about that mouth. I think right there, that helped. Yes, it did. All right, let's get, not terracotta, that kind of a magenta color. Here, what was this? Crimson Lake. And what's this one? Processed red. Yep. All right. All right, that already has helped me like it more. That was a terrible mark. I got like a totally stray crazy mark. See if I can just lift that up with my white eraser. Yes. I am not an artist that says you can't erase. You can erase. Okay. How's she looking? I'm liking her. I want to do a little more to her eyeshadow before we call it done. I'm going to add some brights. And this is yellow chartreuse. And I am going to add just a little of that in her eyeshadow. Just to give it a little spark. Yep, I like that. Good. Maybe I can calm this brown down just a little bit with that. Yeah, I like that. Good. I'm going to add a little of this to her face, her throat. Just a little pop of color here and there. Yep. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, she needs some shines. Now, I have not been able to do that with Prismacolor yet, but I'll try right now. Yep, it's working. Give her a shine right in here. And then a shine right in here. I'm still going to use, though, my jelly roll just to put a dot in. Like that. Yep. Didn't that add a little something, huh? I'm going to add just a little bit of shine to her upper lip and a little more to her lower lip. Yep. I like that. This is the dark side. I'm going to add just a little bit of sparkle over her eyelid here. Like that. I'm going to add a little here. A little shine in the corner of her eye. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Tell me your opinions on copyright. Now, one of those tests was, can you look at this picture and then look at the magazine and be able to pick it right up? And let's see. Very doubtful. Yeah, I don't think I'm in any worries of infringing on copyright, even though I did some tracing. Let's sign it. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you found this helpful, inspirational, educational, please consider hitting the like button, subscribe, share it with your friends, and I will be seeing you in my next video. Bye now.